Hello, this is my sweet mess, and welcome to my kitchen, where every week I make a mess trying new recipes in the pursuit of something sweet. This week, I'm doing something a little different. I am using a boxed brownie mix, which I have used before, but I am trying a new to me recipe for ganache from Maria over at Kwika Recipes, and I'll leave the link to the ganache recipe in the show notes below. These are super simple Halloween brownies. You can use your favorite brownie recipe or brownie mix and a little bit of white chocolate to transform these brownies into something festive and a little spooky. I don't have a lot of experience working and decorating with chocolate, so come with me as we figure this out together. Before we dive into the recipe, let's talk about mise en place. This is a French term meaning putting in place or everything in its place. Because I am using my favorite boxed brownie mix with a few upgrades, my mise en place is pretty simple this week. Please use whatever brownie mix or brownie recipe that you and your family love. My family likes the boxed mixes just fine, and I like the simplicity that comes with it. That is a win-win if you ask me. Now I will tweak the recipe on the box just a little bit. This recipe calls for using water in addition to eggs and vegetable oil. Instead, I'm going to use coffee or instant espresso powder that I've hydrated with water. Using coffee or instant espresso powder just helps enhance that chocolate flavor a little bit more. I am also going to be making a double batch of brownies, and I'll freeze whatever I don't need. To make these brownies extra special, I'm also going to make a ganache to go over the brownies, which turns out is much simpler than the name would suggest. Speaking of simple, I've got a 9 by 13 inch baking pan here, and I'm going to use my pre-cut parchment paper, talk about easy, and use that to line my pan, making sure to leave a little bit of paper hanging out on the sides here, just like handles. Now that my ingredients are prepped and my equipment is ready, let's get started with this bake. In a large bowl, I'm going to combine my 2 boxes of brownie mix, my water/coffee, vegetable oil, and eggs, and give that a mix until everything is well combined. Because I used 2 boxes of mix, I'm going to take my time here and make sure there are no lumps or clumps of mix left in the bottom of the bowl. Once that looks well combined, I'm going to pour the batter into my pan, pop it in the oven to bake until a toothpick comes out clean. And that's it! The simplicity of a ready-made mix. I love it! Once my brownies are fully cooked and out of the oven, I'm going to let these cool while I get started on the ganache. I cannot believe how simple and delicious a ganache is. I will never frost brownies again. So what you're going to do is take 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate and half a cup of heavy cream that has been heated until steamy, not boiling, just steamy. Then you pour the hot heavy cream over the chocolate and let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes and then stir it until smooth. A little trick I learned the hard way: use chocolate chips or finely chopped chocolate bars. These big chunks of chocolate are not melting, and I'll have to scoop them out. Now that the ganache is made, yes, it is that simple, I'm going to get the cooled brownies from earlier and just pour the ganache over the top of the brownies, making sure to help coax it into all the edges and corners. And woo! Doesn't that look good already? I'm going to set this aside for a minute to let the ganache start to set while I get the white chocolate ready for decorating. I've got some white candy melt wafers here, and I'm going to melt those in the microwave and fill my piping bag to make some fun decorations for on top of the brownies. This is really where you can let your creativity shine through. I'm making some spider webs and ghosts here, but you can make a graveyard or bats or spiders, whatever you feel like you want to make. Just make it fun. This is your brownie after all. But the bottom line is you should be having fun and enjoying yourself while you're decorating these fun and delicious brownies. I'm going to start with a spider web down here in the corner. I also have a toothpick to help drag through the wet white chocolate and ganache to give it a web look. All right, and let me do one in the center here. This chocolate is not wanting to come out. Let me twist it a little bit more, and oh my goodness. Okay, deep breath and no panic. I can fix this. Let me set this aside and get something to carefully scoop this white chocolate off of the brownie. Ugh, what the heck? Oh my gosh, the whole piping tip came off. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's try and clean this mess up as best as we can, and then I'll get a new piping bag and new piping tip, and we'll just cover up this little boo-boo. No big deal. No one will ever know. Ooh, okay. More decorating, and dang it, I ran out of white chocolate. No problem. I've got more white candy melt wafers, and I will just melt them, and then we'll be set to decorate. Something I learned while doing this decorating and working with the candy melts is that chocolate dries super quick in the piping bags. So if you aren't actively using the piping bags, odds are pretty good your chocolate is going to dry, which I realized the hard way when I mistakenly assumed this would be like working with frosting. It is not. I was expecting when you run out of chocolate, you can just add more to the bag. No. You need a new bag. To make this tray of brownies, I ended up using 3 piping bags in total. Please learn from my mistake and save yourself some heartache. Make way more of the melted white chocolate than you think you're gonna need. All the heartache is worth it because these little ghosts and spider webs look so cute. I also left some blank spots so that if folks don't like white chocolate, they can still have a brownie with just the ganache on it. But I think these are absolutely adorable. I'm going to set these aside so that they can fully set up. And I also have a little pan of brownies over here. These don't have ganache on them, and these are going to be my mummy brownies. So I will pop these out of the pan using my parchment paper handles and go ahead and slice them up. I like to do generous slices with my brownies, so I've got 9 brownies coming out of this pan. I'll place some candy eyeballs on the brownies, and using my 4th piping bag, yes, my 4th, filled with melted white chocolate chips, I'll make sort of a zigzag pattern to resemble the cloth of a mummy. The white chocolate has a little bit more of a yellow tint to it than my white candy melt, which I think works perfectly for the mummies. I'm gonna finish up piping my mummy brownies and get these guys plated, so I'll be back here in a minute. Well, 4 piping bags and a huge mess of chocolate later, we made it to the other side. Why is it that the quote easiest recipes can sometimes make the biggest mess? To me though, it is all worth it. I think these are so stinking cute for Halloween. These would be really fun to have sitting out at a holiday party with friends and family, or to use as favors and send them home with the guests. I love how the ghosts turned out, and the mummies are so fun with their crazy eyes. All right, let's give these brownies a taste. And wow, these are fantastic. That ganache really helps to seal in the moisture on the brownies, and the chocolate adds a nice crunch to the top as well, a nice little textural contrast. I'm not gonna lie, these might be the best brownies I've ever made. I will certainly be using ganache instead of frosting when I make brownies in the future. I cannot believe how easy it was to make. Alright friends, I am off to find a glass of milk to go with these rich chocolatey brownies. Thank you so much for being with me here today. And remember, trying new things is messy, but the end result can be pretty sweet. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.